similar in the redesign, or will that look entirely different? Sorry about that.
That's okay. Some of the greens, see, it varies from green to green. Some of the greens are almost exactly like they were before. If we would grid the greens and shoot elevations,
right,
and we would study those elevations. If they were acceptable, we left them alone and we rebuilt the green as is. There are a lot of greens like that, but there may be a spot within the green that we would soften as we were expanding the greens out to recapture a whole location or create one sort of in the modern sense. Back right of 6 is a great example of a very highly undulating green. As we recaptured the back right corner of the green, it was not going to be pinnable unless we softened it just a little bit. So we flattened it just enough that the whole location can go back in that corner. And now there's a golf shot that didn't exist before that we've been able to restore, where now you've got to negotiate the rolling right side, and you're either going to cut the ball in there, or you're going to have to land it up on top next to a deep bunker on the right and let it feed into the corner. Or you've always got the center of the green to play to and putt back into the corner. And these are the things that make these old golf courses so much fun. You can pick and choose your angle or your attack on the golf hole, your strategy, so to speak, and it will be different for different players. And you have those options. And all players, you've got greens out here that the everyday member, the ladies and the seniors and the mid-level or high handicappers, they can enjoy this golf course. And we want to turn the heat up a little bit to start putting the whole location back in the corners, front corners. Now they're not actually, the front corners tend to be some of the most difficult. So.
I've got a question on 13. I always felt that was plenty hard enough hole. It's going to be a monster now with that new bunker that's just in front, like 60 yards in front to the right. Was there thinking that you thought it was too exposed, or why that bunker?
Well, that bunker. There's a couple of things going on there. You know, I was actually going to move the stream bed on the left up next to the green, and make that a much more difficult approach. Anyway. But basically that bunker because of Ross used bunkers for a lot of different reasons, and they're some of them are strategic, some are to separate golf holes, protect or contain golf shots from one hole to another. So it's a little bit of several different things, but I wanted the challenge of bailing out sort of on the diagonal creek to be a little more confined over there and take away a lot of the open ground where the ball's running through to the right side. But the green there is probably one of the more subtle greens on the golf course, so there's some compensation there for the approach.
I noticed on 13 and 11 you brought the bunkers over in front of the green a little bit more. Is that something that you're talking about changing or protecting the green some, or is that more of a raw strategy that's kind of had eroded over the years and we just didn't see it?
Well, it's a little bit of a change we make to compensate for the way the game has changed. For instance, 14. The bunker.
14 is what I was talking about.
I thought you were. The bunker on 14, short left of 14, it extends out in the approach, was much further to the left. Several things have happened. We've got an entrance road, maintenance road. We've got tree growth that has sort of narrowed the outside edge of the golf course a little closer in. Then we've got golf balls and clubs that make the game a little bit easier for the better players, not as much for everyday player. But I wanted to nudge it closer to the center line of the golf hole, so the players that just get up on the tee and bomb it, and let's say you miss it a little bit along the left side, Now it's starting to cross that recovery shot, cross the line of that recovery shot, and make you think a little bit. You'll want to carry over the bunker and run it into the green, or lay out short and back of that bunker. So I like to call it, the thing I like to do the most is make a player stand at their cart or at their bag and put their hand on 2 or 3 clubs instead of just grabbing for the 3 wood and blasting away. I want you to think about it. But that's sort of, there's a lot of reasons why we nudge it in, but we do need to make it a little more difficult going into that green because of the short length of the hole.
You had mentioned earlier about we got about 30% more greens, and I noticed on 17 how the front of 17 now almost starts to roll down the slope a little bit. Did that influence the change in the size of the bunker on the left side of 17 that's now there that wasn't there? Because it was larger, and then it looked like it got smaller.
Well, I added that bunker. That is not a Ross bunker.
Okay.
I've done a lot of golf holes that go up the hill, in a similar fashion. I've seen bunker corners like that quite a bit, and that's a bunker I put in there. I put in there to challenge tee shots that are hit through the fairway, into the left rough, and create some sort of recovery decision-making process, and also at the same time capture a few shots that would hit on the front left of the green and either kick over on the 18 or get on the path and turn around and go down the hill. So, see, I'm trying to help everybody. Putting that bunker in.
I like the bunker. No, but it seemed to be larger than I thought you made it smaller.
The bunker?
Yeah, the bunker.
Oh, well, the guys put the bunker in while in between visits. And I came in and looked up the hill, and it was too far from the green, and it just didn't suit my eye. And so much of my work is done just through my eyes and what I see. It either fits through sort of the filter that's inside of my brain, or it doesn't, and it didn't fit. So I jumped on the bulldozer, and I went up there, and I roughed it in and made it look the way I wanted it to look. I've done that a number of times on the golf course, and that's sort of my revisions or editing. Nathan Cashwell, the design associate that was on this project every day, is a very talented young man. He's been with me about 6-7 years now, and he's getting better and better every project. And I feed him rope, so to speak, but he's still not as good as me. But he's pretty good. And you were in good hands, I can assure you. And I have to give him tons of credit.
Yeah, it was rather amazing to watch somebody with a backhoe that you thought they had a trowel in their hand. Yeah, that was kind of the analogy that I made of it.
And what we're trying to do is as I said before, the golf course was built with horses and mules. And there's a lot of little bumps and wiggles and things that have sort of grown over the years. But what we did is of course we're using bulldozers and excavators, and so we build it, and that's going to leave it with sort of a sterile look, in my opinion. So then we'll come back with the mini excavators and even a shovel and sort of ding it up and try to give a little bit of an antique texture and flavor to it. And that's the real difference between your golf course and all others, is it's got the little bumps and humps and irregular wiggles, and everything's up and down. And so now when you look out the front of the clubhouse, I remember seeing dead flat, characterless ground. And now you look out across there, and there's these little irregular mounds and movements. And late in the day or early in the morning, the shadows that are cast in different directions are really nice. And but we do, like behind 18, by shifting the green back and adding a little series of irregular mounds. Those were never there, but by moving the green back and getting it in closer proximity to the parking lot, I felt like we needed a little bit of containment.